Good morning, students. We are going to continue chapter 6 of NCERT, that is tissues. Up to now, we have covered meristematic and permanent tissues. But in permanent tissue, only one complex tissue, that is phloem, is being left. So we are starting presentation with that tissue, that is phloem. Phloem, it helps in conduction of food from leaves to other parts of the body. This is very, very important. Phloem is meant for the transportation of the food which is being prepared by the leaves to the rest of the plant part, either in upward direction and downward direction. So what we can say right now that the movement of food can be in both in upward direction and downward direction. This type of movement of food substances is referred as what? Bidirectional. Why it is being referred as bidirectional? As you can see, the food movement can be transported to the root system and they can also move to the tip of the plant. So that's why it is referred as bidirectional flow of food substances. Now comes to the various components of phloem. These are sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. Out of the four, we have only one type of tissue, that is phloem fibers, is completely dead one. Phloem fibers are also referred as bast fibers. They are very, very important for the strength of the plant, and they are also very important from the commercial point of view. Have you seen gunny bags? Yes, gunny bags. Gunny bags are actually made from phloem fibers. Phloem fibers undergo for the further processings and they are going to convert into the bast fiber. These bast fibers, when intertwined together, we get our gunny bags. So you can understand the importance of these fibers. However, sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma are the living one. The cells of phloem tissues is living accept the fibers. As what we have discussed, the sieve tubes and companion cells transport food from the leaves to the rest part of the plant. Phloem parenchyma, as you know, perform the function of storage. Fibers provide mechanical strength to the plant body. Now we will discuss each and every component of the phloem in great detail so you have a better understanding for the same. Sieve tubes. Sieve tubes are tubular in nature. They are going to be placed over one another to form a single row or continuous structure. They have sieve plates. What are sieve plates? Sieve plates you can observe here. These are actually the plate with the perforation, so the food substances can be moved out of it. The substance which is having like a bigger size is not going to be passed. Only a limited size particle is going to be passed from these type of pores. These are referred as what? Sieve plates. So sieve plates are the integral features of the sieve tubes. You can see these are the sieve tubes. They are interconnected with the help of the sieve plates. Sieve plates are those kind of plates which have multiple perforation for the transport of the substances. Now the now come to the next component, that is companion cell. You can observe here. Companion cells lie on the side of the sieve tubes. You can see they are just work as a companion to the sieve tubes. They are more like a friend to the sieve tubes because all of the food substances from the leaf just directly move towards the companion cells, and companion cells diverted the food towards sieve tubes. And sieve tubes are the tubes for the conduction of food substances from one end to the another end, from source to the sink. Now let's see this holistic diagram which explain each and every part uh, of the phloem. Now you can see this is the leaf cell here, and the food substances which are actually made by the leaf in terms of glucose, they are going to be moved first to the companion cells. Companion cells diverted food towards sieve tubes. And sieve tubes, you can see they have seed plates, and the food is going to be moved to the cells which require the food through the companion cells only, from the source to the sink. Source is the site where food substances are going to be manufactured, and sink is that part of the plant body which actually require the ready-made food substances by the leaf. So companion cells work in close association with the sieve tubes. And this phloem parenchyma is going to work more as a storage uh, part, and fibers are going to provide the strength. So this is the part you need to keep on remembering when you are going to understand phloem. Okay. And companion cells have one more specialty: they retain their nucleus throughout the life. They do not have tendency to lose the nucleus when they are growing old or mature. They don't lose their nucleus. This is the special tendency being associated with the companion cells. Now move to the another part of the phloem, that is phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Phloem parenchyma are the thin-walled living tissues you can see over here. This is like sieve cells along with that of the companion cells and phloem fibers. But phloem parenchyma have the similar structure as that of the other parenchymatous cells, as we have done before in presentation. Now come to the phloem fibers. Phloem fibers, you can see these are the extended tube-like structure having narrow lumen tapering ends. These are the spatial features being associated with the phloem parenchyma. Okay, now come to the animal tissue. Animal tissues, you can see, are of four types: epithelial, muscular, connective, and nervous. When we talk about animal tissues, they are meant to provide all sort of support and building material for the plant, for the animal part. You can see we have four types: epithelial, muscular, connective, and nervous. By the name, you can understand their function as well. Epithelium means above layer cells. So epitheliums are simply of five types, that is squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, glandular. But this glandular and ciliated are associated with columnar and cuboidal. So sometimes we don't have separate category for ciliated and glandular epithelium. So you should keep in mind the basic is squamous. Squamous can be single layer or multiple layer. Cuboidal are the cube-like cells. Columnar are the column-like cells. Ciliated, when we talk about ciliated epithelium, ciliated means there must be presence of cilia. When we talk about glandular epithelium, it generally refers to the epithelium which is capable to secrete hormones or enzymes, whatever the form of the chemical substances. They are actually secretory in nature, as being mentioned over here as well. Now come to the muscular part. Muscular tissue system comprises of striated, non-striated, and cardiac muscles. Striated are the skeletal muscle, non-striated are the smooth muscles, cardiac muscles are specialized muscles which have been present in heart. Now comes to the connective tissue. Connective tissue is of areolar, dense areolar, adipose, skeletal, and fluid. You can see areolar and dense areolar. Areolar and dense areolar are those tissues which are being present between that of the muscles and the bones. So they are tendons and ligaments. Now come to the various part of skeletal, that is cartilage and bone. Cartilage is proteinaceous in nature, and bones are made up of calcium carbonate. Fluid or vascular tissues are blood and lymph. Now comes to the adipose tissue. Adipose tissues are the tissues which are specialized for the storage of reserve food material in terms of fats. Now come to the nervous tissue. Nervous tissues are those tissues which control and coordinate whole of the body functioning or mechanism. Now, we're just going to study first the epithelial tissue. Epithelial are the above layer tissue. Are protective in nature. They forms lining or the covering over skin, outer covering of organs, inner lining of the blood vessels, lung, esophagus, etc. Now, cells are closely packed together. There is no chance of intercellular spaces. They rest over a fibrous basement membrane. You can see here, this is fibrous basement membrane. Everywhere you will find this fibrous basement membrane. So this is the squamous epithelium. You can see stratified means multiple layer, columnar means having column shaped cells, and cuboidal means cube like cells. Epithelial cells are going to protect the body from mechanical injury, pathogens, and various sort of harmful chemicals. It protects internal organs as well because it provides a lining kind of a cellular layer over the system. In intestine, it helps in absorption of water, digestion of the food substances. In kidneys, it helps in secretion of waste from the body. In lungs, it helps in gases exchange. Now, come to the epithelial cells type squamous. Squamous are the single layer cells. They are thin, flat, irregular cells which fit over the floor of the delicate lining or the pavement epithelium that is fibrous in nature. They should have nucleus at the center. Location in the body, that is esophagus, lining of mouth, alveoli of lungs, blood vessels. Now come to the functioning part. They actually provide the protection to the various organs. They are capable to have gases exchange in terms of alveoli. They are going to exchange the gases as well and the food substances being present in the blood cells. Now comes to the cuboidal, as the word suggests, they are cubical in nature. They are being present in the kidney, duct of salivary glands, provide mechanical support, and if they are being infolded, they work as a glandular epithelium going to secrete hormones or enzymes. Now comes to the columnar epithelium. They are pillar-shaped cells. They have nucleus at the base. You can see this is the base. They have the nucleus over the base. If there are a lot of cilia or hair-like projections being present, they are referred as ciliated columnar epithelium. Now comes to the squamous, striated squamous epithelium. It is multiple layer and especially it is going to be present in the skin to prevent any sort of wear and tear. It forms the outer lining of the esophagus as well, going to protect various organs, prevent wear and tear of various body parts. So it is basically protective in nature. Only two epithelial layer, that is squamous and striated, going to protect the body organ. Okay. Now, come to the next part, muscular tissues. Muscular tissues can be of skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, cardiac muscle. As the word suggests, skeletal muscles are the striated one because they are involved in contraction and relaxation, rigorous contraction and relaxation, what we can say. Smooth muscles are non-striated, they don't show any sort of a striation. What does this striation means? That is alternate light and dark bands. Wherever you find alternate light and dark bands, that shows the striation. Okay. Now comes to the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, as the word suggests, are specialized muscle cells being present inside that of the heart. These muscles are branch actually, and they play a vital role in the contraction and relaxation of the heart, for which it means for. Now comes to the muscular tissues. Again, muscular tissues help in movement of the body. They are elongated cells. They contains contractile protein which helps in contraction and relaxation. Of course, the movement as well as skeletal muscles are the striated one, smooth muscles are the non-striated one, cardiac muscles are the branch one because they need to conduct the contraction being involved or generated in one muscle to the rest of the muscles. So they need to be the branch one. Now comes to the skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles you can see have a striation, that is alternate dark and light bands, and they are long cylindrical multinucleated. Skeletal muscles become attached to that of the bones and help in the body movement, limbic movement, that is the movement of hands and legs. They help in voluntary movement. Whatever you want to move in the direction, it is being done with the help of the skeletal muscle. If you want to walk, if you want to dance, if you want to hold a water glass, so that movement is actually coordinated with the help of the skeletal muscle, that is performed only with the help of the skeletal muscles. So skeletal muscles actually involve in the movement, that is limbic movement, or the movement of your shoulder, the movement of your neck, and the bowing down movement with the help of hip bone, that is actually being coordinated with the help of the skeletal muscles. In what sense? That is the bone movement, what we can say in a literal sense, bone movement is actually done with the help of the skeletal muscles. Now, come to the smooth muscles. Smooth muscles are the non-striated one. You can't find any sort of striation, that is alternate light and dark bands. And these are involuntary muscles. They are long, spindle-shaped, uninucleated, and present along the alimentary canal, blood vessels, bronchi of lungs, iris of the eye, that is iris region, that is the black section inside your eye, is actually being guarded with the help of smooth muscles for the movement part, that is totally involuntary movement. Now, the cardiac muscles. You can see cardiac muscles are the branch one, because the contraction being originated in one muscle is going to be transported to the rest of the muscles. They are long, cylindrical branch, multinucleated. They are being present in the heart and help in the contraction as well as relaxation of the heart. Now, this is the tabulated form from the understanding point of view. You can see skeletal muscles. These are the long cylindrical fibers, striated and peripherally located, and it helps in voluntary movement, the movement which you actually want. Produces heats, protects the organs. They are meant to attach the bones around the entrance point of the body, example mouth and anus. Now comes to the cardiac. They are short, branch, striated, single central nucleus. They help in contraction of the heart to pump the blood. Location, of course, heart. Now comes to the smooth muscles. They are short, spindle shaped to evident striation. Okay, no evident striation is there. There's no evident alternate light and dark bands are being present. Single nucleus is there. Involuntary movement of the food, involuntary control of respiration, move secretion, regulates flow of the blood in the arteries, and it is more like a wall to the major organs and makes a passage. Okay, now come to the three types of muscles. You can see with the help of simple diagrams you can find striation in the skeletal muscles. That's why they are referred as a striated muscles. In cardiac muscles, you are not going to find any sort of striation, and they are actually branched. And smooth muscles do not show any sort of striation. Okay, these cardiac muscles are multinucleated, skeletal muscles are multinucleated, but smooth muscles are the uninucleated muscular cells. I hope this part is clear to each and every student. That's all for today. Thank you.